you. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Chesapeake Beach Ethics Commission on February 2nd, 2022 at 1 p.m. The agenda is in front of us. Called to order, Pledge of Allegiance is first item, next item.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States of
of
America
America
and to the
and the
republic
republic
for which
for which
it
it
stands,
stands,
and
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all. The agenda is on our screens. Does anyone have any additions or corrections?
None.
uh, aren't we going to discuss the terms or termination of
Yes.
the members? And I
Yes,
don't
why don't we
see
make that
on
the, let's do that after, well, where, in paragraph D. Okay,
Yeah.
matter, but just let's not forget it. I probably will end up doing. All right. The agenda that had been communicated to us is approved. Has everyone reviewed the minutes of the January 20th meeting?
Yes.
Does
Yeah.
anyone have any corrections?
No.
No correction.
Hearing none, they are approved. All right. We had a discussion last meeting and on the points of consideration that members of the town council have brought to our attention on the recommendations we made quite a long time ago. Let's see. First one was that section 2523B adds, or no, has, it covers an entity subject to the authority of the town. And it appears that is actually required, even though we have never found any practical application. And I think the explanation is this. The state requires us to have conflict of interest provisions for elected officials that are at least as stringent as the state's conflict of interest provisions. This particular thing makes sense on a statewide basis. The state of Maryland it has a whole bunch of things that are subject to its authority. So I think we're required to have it in our ordinance, even though there doesn't seem to be any meaning to it. I certainly don't think the council should repeal it. Anyone else?
I agree with you, Phil.
Okay. Next one is same 2523. We recommend that, well, let me get- currently says an elected official or an appointed official cannot be employed or have a financial interest in any entity that is negotiating or has entered into a contract with the town. And we are recommending, sorry, hold on. sorry, I thought I brought everything down. We're recommending to add that he can't serve as an officer or director of an entity that requests or receives a grant or other funding from the town. And the argument that was brought to our attention is that there are only 6,000 people in the town. As in any jurisdiction, only a small percentage are willing to donate their time and energy to the public good, whether as an official or in as an activist in other entities, and that our suggestion would discourage people from either from running for office or serving in office, or from taking a leadership role in an organization that deservedly gets some kind of funding from town. Ingrid, what's your thought?
I think there was also another argument that was advanced too, that there was an advantage to having officials on these nonprofit boards to ensure proper spending of the funding. I'm not sure that I'm convinced that that's such a big benefit. I'd like to give the nonprofits credit for having a fiduciary responsibility as well as common sense and spending the money that the town gives them wisely. So I'm not sure that argument holds a lot of water.
Peter?
Well, I was actually quite impressed by the point that the mayor made. He pointed out that we should avoid creating any obstacles or difficulties that might discourage people from serving in some capacity or the other. And the mayor is probably the best witness of the actual world in which we live. He is the one who has to tap people and say, would you want to serve on let's say the ethics commission or if whatever, and that should be there should be no roadblocks or ifs, buts or whens, and that being the case, I think we should not add the proposed language to the ordinance.
Hey, my own thinking is that entities that now receive grants or actual funding not feel that they would benefit from putting on their own boards of directors members of the town council or other town officials. I think once that happens, that there's an effective competition for town money, and nobody's suggesting any corrupt motive here now, but I would think that if Councilman Smith gets on the board of the hospital and a grant to the hospital is made, as it has been done, the other prevent hunger in Calvert County might feel that they would benefit from having a town council member on its board, and the fire department may decide that it would have, could get another 10 grand or something if it has a town councilman on its board. And I think that's, well, that there's a question of weighing that against the point Peter made of we certainly don't want to unnecessarily create impediments to people serving. Now, right now, and this has actually come up on in the past, right now it says if you are employed by a company and that company gets a contract with the town, you've got to either resign your job or resign your town office. And that came up. Fortunately for the person, his company, the company he works for, didn't get the contract. But I mean, the discouragement's already there. It's just a question of extending it.
Well, we also have to ask ourselves too, in reality, right now with the town council persons we have, how many people are actually impacted by this? I think it's very few.
Fred?
Yeah, something that I just want to mention, and that is if council member X is on organization-wide board of directors, if a matter involving organization Y comes before the council, then that council member would have to recuse themselves. And the question really comes up, where is the loyalty supposed to be? Is it supposed to be to the town where you're an elected official? Is that your primary loyalty? Or is the primary loyalty to the board, which you are an appointed member? There are going to be times when you can't have the loyalty to both because they're going to conflict. And by and I think this, in part, even though it's not the intent, does address the loyalty issue by saying that, I think it's saying that the primary loyalty is going to be with the town.
As it should be.
As it should be.
I just noticed something from what you said, Peter, Fred. Currently, 2520 says a covered person may not participate in any matter in which the following is a party, an entity for which a covered person or a relative is an officer, director, trustee, partner, or employee. So currently, a member of the council can't vote on the budget or participate in the budget that would provide funding to the nonprofit or whatever entity that he's serving on. So that's a discouragement, I guess. But yeah, the question is whether that should be extended to if you are on the board. No, yeah, you can't. If you're serving as an official of the town, you cannot go on to the board of an entity that gets money from the town. Period. And it's not just not participate, but you can't do it any more than you can take a job with a contractor with the town. All right, if there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote. How do we want to phrase this? Those in, this is not the proposal yet. I'm thinking of saying those in favor of retaining the proposal to retaining the recommendation to make this change would say aye. Those opposed to maintaining the recommendation would vote no. Alternatively, we would say, we could phrase it, no, and a vote no, if we vote no, then we are withdrawing the recommendation, and that would be communicated to the town. Is that clear enough?
Yes,
Oh,
All right. Those in favor of maintaining the recommendation to add in 2531B3 entities that request or receive a grant or other funding from the town, indicate by saying aye.
aye.
All right. Those opposed, which is to say those who think the recommendation should be withdrawn, indicate by saying no.
no.
All right. I vote only if it's necessary to break a tie. We have a tie. I'm going to vote aye. Now, let's keep in mind that that's decided. There's nothing. I'm not going to be offended or insulted if the town council rejects a recommendation from us. All right. I think each of us makes the best thinking that we have, but none of us has gotten a single vote from the members of the citizenry, and it's just not. It'll be a good thing, I think, to even if it gets defeated, to have the discussion by the town council.
Sure.
Next item on the agenda is amending the ordinance regarding to deal with the employment of children of town officials.
Excuse me, Phil, wasn't there
Yes.
an issue involving late fees?
Oh, I'm sorry. You are so right. It's sitting right here in front of us. Okay, in front of me. All right. Here's what our recommendation was. First of all, I don't think there's any controversy over this. We're simply moving the late fee, if there is going to be one, from a section 2532 into 2538, which lists penalties. So that's not controversial. The second thing is we recommend that it change from a number of dollars per day for failure to timely file. We added same amount to fail to timely remedy deficiencies. And that's not, I don't think anyone's had a problem with that. The third thing is we propose to increase the fee from $2 a day to $5 a day. And the question arose, or a question which I don't think we considered, Ingrid, when we first time around, should there be any late fee? And we've been advised by council that it's not required by state law. So the questions I saw, and there's two interesting comments. One is $5 a day is too small to make a difference to create an incentive for somebody to file on time. The other is that even $2 a day is an impediment to people being willing to serve on the various boards and commissions. Now that latter one certainly would be persuasive if it were $100 a day or $1,000 a day. I think I would. Although I think I've said correctly, we have not been aggressive on this. I mean, any excuse, well, every excuse we've come across, we say, yeah, that's excused. This clearly is not a income producing provision. But let's go around. Ingrid, how do you feel about either deleting the late fee entirely or keeping it or increasing it to $5.
I think, I don't feel really strongly about any part of the late fee. I understand there's no legal requirement. I think it's good to have a late fee as some encouragement and incentive to file on a timely basis. As you said, we have not really enforced this. I think we actually did collect maybe a little bit of money that first year.
Yeah.
And I think I was even one of those people that had to write that check. So
Yep, yep.
it happens to all of us. So I don't think it's bad to have it in here in case we need it in some sort of weird predicament. I guess it really comes to our judgment whether we enforce it or not. So again, if someone's running for council and they see this and they don't run because of it, I'm not sure we want them on our council. Number one, they should be willing to file a disclosure and hopefully on a timely basis. So I just can't imagine somebody saying, oh gosh, there's a late fee. I have to do this on a timely basis. Therefore, I'm not going to run for council. I mean, give me a break.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts, Phil.
Peter? Peter, what's your thoughts? We may have left.
I think we should eliminate late fees. That's my my view on this. And I point out that there are probably other ways to discipline non-compliant such as happenings that may occur to us or may occur to the mayor and council. And the soft way out, leave the fines on the book. Such an approach, if we have a law that says there's a fine, that law should be and so if you're not comfortable chasing whether it's $2 a day or $5 a day, why do it at all? Given the fact that we are not required by the state ordinance to have a monetary sanction.
One thought is that the library charges a late fee. That's not enough to replace the book. It's just, here's an automatic. If you take the book out for 30 days and you bring it, a week late, you got to pay a nickel a day. I think I would, at this point, vote to do is just maintain the current $2 a day. We'll withdraw the recommendation to change the late fee at all. I'm sorry, the amount.
I can go along with that, Phil. I mean, really, when you say, well, what is the harm? Eventually, most of them do tend to fill it out. It's really a burden for us and for Sharon. It's a paperwork chase. And that's, I guess, what we're trying to avoid maybe is more work for us, because then we go through the process of, okay, well, we're missing Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith, and You know, it'd be nice if it were all submitted on time and we don't have to go through that iterative process. I don't know how many meetings it takes us to finally chase them all down. And if this fine helps in that regard, then that's wonderful.
You know, I'm thinking, it's also the sort of thing I, as an appointed official, might say to a spouse or child, I've got to spend this afternoon filling out the disclosure because I'm going to, you know, it's not only required, but there's a deadline and there's an automatic, penalty for deciding it's not important enough to get done on time. So, Peter, anything further?
I think he's muted.
Oh, he is. Peter, you're muted. Which would make it a mute point. We can't vote.
Peter, you need to unmute.
Or press *6 from your phone, Peter, if you can hear us.
Thanks, Holly. Aha, that did
Oh,
it.
okay.
Okay, any further thoughts?
I seem to be back.
The proposal, which I'll put to a vote, is that we withdraw the recommendation to increase the late fee from $2 a day to $5 a day. And then if, regardless of whether that passes or fails, I will put to a vote that we recommend that late fees be eliminated from the ordinance. That we recommend the town repeal the late fee requirement. All right, so I'll be doing two votes. Actually, I'm going to do the repeal one first, because if it passes, and we don't have to get to the other. All right, so I'm going to propose it this way, I'll put it this way. Those in favor of recommending that the town repeal the late fee requirement would indicate aye. Those opposed, no. And if that fails, then I'd have a vote on whether we recommend, continue to recommend increasing it to $5 a day, or we withdraw the recommendation to increase it, right? So first question to be voted on is those in favor of recommending that the town repeal the late fee requirement or provision indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying no.
No.
All right, I will vote no. So that's defeated. Now the question is, those in favor of continuing the recommendation to increase the late fee from $2 to $5 indicate by saying aye. Those opposed indicate by saying no.
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 All right, so that's defeated. And the effect of that is we will communicate to the town that we're withdrawing the recommendation to increase to $5. All right,
Phil, what about the limit Weren't we also adding a limit on there of 500?
Oh. That's right, I didn't see that. I didn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I'll do the same sort of thing. Those in favor of continuing to recommend increasing a limit.
Well,
I'm
do
sorry,
we?
putting a
have
limit.
At all, right now?
What's that?
Do we have a limit at all? I
No,
can't remember.
I
I
don't
didn't
think
think so. Weren't we trying to cap it at 500?
Yeah, we were trying to, I guess, because if we're at $5 a day, it may really get up there. I think, personally, I think the easiest thing is to withdraw our recommendation to change the late fee amount and the putting a limit on it. But I don't feel strangely, we could continue the limit. I don't think anyone would argue. The council may decide the limit's too high, but
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Do we have a limit, a ceiling right now?
no.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't think so. And is it part of the recommendation that the council should amend the ordinance to create a limit,
Yes.
a ceiling?
Yep.
And did we put a price tag on it?
Yes.
500.
Another, what's the limit? $100,
It's 500.
500?
I certainly don't feel strongly. We get up to 500 after 250 days. I would think if somebody was simply stonewalling us after 2 or 3 weeks, we would impose the $2 a day and go to court if you didn't pay it.
I think there should be a limit on it, but now that we've dropped our fine to $2, maybe the limit should be dropped from the 500. I think the 500 came about more as a result of the $5 per day.
Peter, what's your feeling on having the ordinance put a limit on late fees?
As a general matter, I think there probably should be a limit, as there tends to be in general statutes. But the limit should be high enough so it's worth going before a judge in order to collect it. And I don't think that it would make economic sense even to sue for a $500 late fee, because it'll cost us more to legal fees, court fees.
So what do you suggest?
We suggest we do nothing. Don't put a ceiling on it.
Because is the ceiling more a matter of time? Because if you say, like you said, Phil, well, it'd be 250 days. At that point, And I agree, Peter. I mean, yes, it's very costly to go to court. It way beyond the 500, but at that point, then we're 250 days into it. And if they haven't complied, they're probably not going to. So is that just more a function of time and non-compliance, number of days? It's like, hey, we've just given you 250 days. Is that what we're trying to get at, more than the dollar amounts per se? If that makes any sense, hopefully. Because to me, it does feel uncomfortable to have a dollar amount in there and no ceiling or cap on it.
So, Ingrid, you want to have us continue to recommend to have a cap. And Peter, if that were the question, how would you vote?
Well, other things being equal, I would say that is, I would say let's forget about a cap or a ceiling. However, having said that, if I don't want to create a non-unanimous decision here. And, I don't feel strongly about it one way or another. So if, let's say, if Ingrid thinks there should be a cap, and we recommend a particular number to the council, I would go along with that. This is not a critical issue in my opinion. Not worth having a divided commission.
Well, that simplifies thing. I would just want to share my view that I see absolutely nothing wrong with the divided vote. It means we've thought it through and we don't have a rule of we can't make decisions other than by consensus. But that's neither here nor there. Peter, you're going to vote aye on maintaining the recommendation that there be a $500 limit on late fees.
Yes, I would.
Okay. And Ingrid, you're going
vote
to do that?
aye.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we've already decided that we're not going to recommend a change in the amount, the per diem amount. Now the question is, those in favor of retaining the recommendation of a $500 limit on late fees indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no, the ayes have it. Does that take care of the recommendations problems?
I think so.
And I will circulate today or tomorrow a draft of the communication to the mayor. Make sure I've got it right.
Thank you, Bill.
Next item on the agenda is carryover from last month as well. Well, where's the agenda? Somebody- The item C is discuss whether the ordinance should be amended regarding the employment of children of town officials. And this came to our attention. The only thing that's come to our attention is the employment of children of elected officials to part-time or to seasonal jobs at the water park. And, you know, again, this falls in that category. If the town were to forbid that, then good people would be discouraged from running for office. Or at least good people with children, teenage children, I guess. You know, my children are much too old, and my only grandchild is much too young. But it, I mean, it has. We do know that it. You know, children of council members have been hired, and
Yep.
there's what we don't have, as far as I know, is any complaint by someone saying, you know, my kid was better qualified for the lifeguard job, and that kid didn't get it because the kid of the a council member got it. So there we are.
You know,
And I think, I mean, let me say one more
we
thing.
have,
Go ahead. Peter, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I was going to say, we have heard, or at least I believe I have heard, that the ability to have council members' children get this summer job seems to be very important to these officials. That's at least is the sense I got from the input that we receive. And you know, we this whole subject is our focus is actually way too narrow. We know that the situation has arisen with respect to seasonal jobs at the water park. But for all we know, tomorrow, let's say Public Works decides to hire a few, strong
Yeah.
backs for the summer, so that the regular people can go on vacation, and so there will be a handful of seasonal jobs. Holly decides we have a backlog of filing that has to be done, and so we hire a high school kid or two to help us eliminate that backlog. I don't think these possibilities are very far-fetched, and I think the real problem behind it is nepotism or discrimination. We don't want to have a situation where somebody is, all these jobs, they go to the kids of council members. It's one of the perquisites of office. So far, nobody has complained, and the hiring decision is actually not made by the council. The council sets the overall budget, and no doubt there's going to be a line item for temporary labor, and around number, and I don't know how many people they, a dozen. But so it, you know, if you know, if we feel confident that people who make the actual hiring decision, which presumably, as far as I know, would be the you know, general manager of the water park, then that is a whole big step removed from anything that the council actually does. And you know, we something that the council, I think, should decide. You know, the council, rather than, you know, this this commission, whether the appearance of favoritism something that is so bothersome that they would be willing to forego the opportunity for their own children to get summer jobs with the town.
The one additional thing, though, is that I think it's your point is it would also apply to any place in the government, any place in town at all. The council does decide on the salary of the director of the water park. In fact, it decides on the appointment or removal, I assume, of the director of the water park. And so it's not far-fetched to see a temptation by the director to favor the children of the people who can decide on a $10,000 pay increase. Or even taking that out, decide on the appropriation for the water park. If I'm the director, I want it maximized. But of course, that's far-fetched because it makes a profit, doesn't it? Doesn't depend on annual funding. So it's just, I think it
last
creates
time
temptation. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Peter, again, I cut you off.
It was last time I looked at it, and that goes back to the previous administration. The water park is actually a great big black hole into which we plow money.
Oh,
It is
okay.
not. It is not made very transparent in the budget proposals and budget discussion, but that is my take. But you know, that may no longer be the case.
All right, now we don't actually have a proposal in front of us to vote on in any event. I think I circulated a draft
Yes.
that had to do, actually was an amendment to the participation provision. In contrast to another approach would be, if your kid gets a job with the town, you got to leave your office. It's the same as, you know, getting a job with a contractor with the town. I think I will suggest that someone, and I'll volunteer, draft some language or sets of languages that can be actually discussed at the next meeting. And what I do feel strongly about is that the ordinance should be absolutely clear. Taking the water park as an example, it's either we say you're an elected official kid can be employed by the water park? Say that in English language? Elected officials, kid may not be employed by the water park. As opposed to having us try to figure out whether it's an implicit conflict of interest, after a complaint is made. But, I mean, the commission as a whole could vote to say, no, let's leave it without any changes at all. But I'll draft in consultation with our attorney various options that can be addressed and voted on at the next meeting. Is that okay?
That's fine. Thank you.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, so next item is any additional matter for discussion. And one may be that we need to clarify to the mayor some provisions in the current ordinance regarding appointment of commission members. One is section 25-7 says vacancies shall be filled by appointment by the mayor with the approval of the council. Vacancies shall be filled for the balance of the unexpired term. So my understanding is that Peter's appointment expires the same as Ingrid and mine. Does anyone disagree?
No,
No, that's my understanding.
Okay. Next thing is that 25-5 says, upon the expiration of the terms of the current commissioners, one member of the commission shall be appointed to a 1-year term, one member shall be appointed to a 3-year term, and one member shall be appointed to a 5-year term. Upon the expiration of each of those terms, appointments shall be for 3-year terms. It may be worth bringing this to the mayor's attention that he's got to make 3 appointments and designate the term of each appointment.
I'm sure he's not aware of that. We probably should bring it to his attention.
Okay. Peter, does that make sense to you to bring it to his attention?
Well, I confess that I'm totally confused by section 25-5.
Am I the only one who can't hear Peter? He's breaking up in a really bad way. I can't understand him.
Me neither.
Heightened by the fact that
Peter, we had a lot of trouble understanding you. You were just breaking up in a really bad way. We heard maybe 1 out of every 20 words.
oh, okay. Let me be more concise. Is it the intention and everybody's understanding that the commission members will have staggered terms?
Yes.
Whereas, yeah, that is going forward from now on, and but it's also understood that all 3 of us, our terms will end next month. In fact,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So it would then be the mayor's in the mayor's discretion to pick someone for a 1-year appointment someone and one member for a 5-year term.
Yes,
And once that is in place, from then on going forward, we new appointments, each of them for 3-year terms. And these appointments would be made whenever these staggered terms expire.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
Well, if there's no
Okay.
objection, I will draft a message to the mayor and circulate it among the commission.
Thank you.
Does
Okay.
anyone recall what the actual date is in March?
I believe it's the 16th.
16th of March?
March
Uh,
16th, March
Okay,
16th.
March 16th.
okay.
And,
All right. So that brings us to scheduling the next regular meeting of the commission. Let me get a,
Phil? Phil?
yeah,
There was one other item not on the agenda, and probably not appropriate to discuss it today, but my recollection was that last week, Sharon forwarded to the members of the commission a complaint from a citizen.
she forwarded a communication about an apparent problem and said that she would follow up with a complaint that the citizen said, and we have not received a complaint.
Okay, thank you.
I got to get a calendar, hold on. Okay,
Phil?
Yeah.
Phil, did you not want to talk about the disclosure statements
oh, I'm sorry,
that
good,
we
thank
talked
you.
about earlier?
Yeah, you're right. So another thing to think about is, well, here's the deal. Disclosures are due the end of April. In fairness, they need to be, ought to be communicated to the filers as early as possible. There have been some mentions of changes, improvements in the forms. I mean, remember, people ran into problems because it's not clear that there were, on a page, you had to address 4 separate items. And it's just a pain in the neck for them and for us. And I've also suggested to possibly set it up so that if you have filed in the past and there's no change in the information on that page, there ought to be a way of just certifying it. Now, that's in principle. I don't know in practice how that would work. But I would suggest that we just, people circulate ideas, I guess, before the next meeting, and we vote at the next meeting on changes. If we don't do that, then I think we'd have to have 2 meetings before April 1st. One where we discuss potential changes, and then another meeting that would vote on making them. Ingrid, what's your preference as to between those
Well,
two?
One thing I wanted to mention too, then we're coming up against that March 16th date too. I would think that we need to accomplish these things before March 16th.
Geez, I was thinking the opposite.
Right? Because if we're not in office, then we're handing it off to somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. That's my thinking.
Also, and Phil, you have sent a notice to everybody that you wish to become a lame duck.
Yes. Quack.
relatively soon.
I am a lame duck. I'm indifferent as to whether we deal with this before the 16th or not. So somebody suggest a date or 2 dates necessary.
Wednesday, the 23rd.
Okay. Peter?
I hear him.
Peter, are you okay with Wednesday, the 23rd?
Phil, while we're waiting for Peter, I'm okay on that day.
Okay, and Sharon?
Let's see.
Yes, I'm good.
In March,
Within the
I
date.
will.
Actually, I was thinking February, Peter, February
Oh,
23rd.
I'm sorry.
Are we,
Oh,
I mean, we
Right,
still
I-
have to talk about the employment of children of town officials thing. We probably should wrap that up, shouldn't we?
okay. I am on vacation out of the country from the 16th through the 24th,
Okay, all right.
but that leaves the
That's fair.
25th and 28th.
Or March 2nd.
Oh, yeah, or any, yeah.
So what's your preference, Phil, coming back out of the country? What's
I-
comfortable for you?
The 25th or 28th would be fine.
Okay. I'm fine either day.
I would, let's say, yeah, so I'll prefer the 28th.
Okay,
Okay, that will work for me.
Fred?
February
Yeah.
28th, it's a Monday.
That's okay.
1:00?
Yep. Sharon?
Yes, that's fine.
The next meeting is February 28th at 1 PM. And people really should, I hope all 3 of us circulate suggested improvements in the disclosure forms.
Okay.
Particularly, Ingrid and I have had this 4 years of honest mistakes
Yep.
that, just creates unnecessary, creates work for us and for Sharon. And, one of the things, I feel strongly about this. We need to have these disclosures. We need to minimize the harassment effect, especially since some of the data is totally irrelevant to ethics. The fact that you bought a vacation house in Florida 32 years ago, why we need the name of the seller and the cost. We don't need it, but the state requires it. So I know I have a pain in the neck. Well, no, at this point, it's just copying. But the first time around, digging out the damn, I forget what the selling price was. That's okay. So we're good. We all are morally required to try to, draft improvements based on anything. All right. Is there any comments by commissioners or members of the public?
None.
All right, hearing none. Those in favor of adjourning indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank you,
trip,
Fred.
Phil.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Phil, where are you going?
Bye-bye.
Oops, sorry. Mexico,
Great, have a great trip.
Cancun.
Everybody be healthy and safe.
Okay, everybody, yes. Bye.